One thing that I've been noticing coming up with clients lately is the idea of fear of failure blocking action. And I would propose that it's not actually fear of failure that is fully keeping you away from taking the actions towards the things that you really love in your life. It is the not knowing how to process the failure. So what is a failure? In really simple terms for today's discussion, I am defining a failure to simply be what happens in reality in the moment, not matching what I preferred, what I expected, or what I hoped for. And so the reason that we fear that experience happening, if you just think about it neutrally, something I wanted didn't happen. Why does that become such a potent experience? And for many of us, this is because of an internal structure that we have. And I was joking about this with one of my supervisors. So a lot of my clients end up being therapists, coaches, counselors, people working in wellness. And he and I were joking. He said to me, in schema therapy, there's an approach to therapy called schema therapy. I won't go into that in too much detail here, but it's an amazing approach and I will talk about it more in future videos. We basically look at schemas, maps of reality that we perceive, how we've kind of constructed the way we think the world is. And one of them is called unrelenting standards. Another one is called self-sacrifice. So unrelenting standards means we see the world in a way that just has us thinking that nothing but the best, but perfection is good enough in any situation. And self-sacrifice means I need to give myself over in order for life to be okay. That's the way the world is. It's like a really comprehensive belief system on all levels about the way things are. So many of us are carrying these belief systems, these schemas inside of us. And so if you have the pattern inside, an unrelenting standards perception that nothing but the best is good enough, then anything that doesn't meet that doesn't want to be registered. And so then yes, there's a natural avoidance. I'm not going to try something because then I might fail. And it's not the failure itself, it's the internal processes that if we have these kind of structures and beliefs inside of us, kick into gear in response to that. And so we end up having a really uncomfortable internal experience of shame. There's a harsh inner critic that jumps up. You should have known better. You should have done better. There's this feeling of, oh, I failed. There are even deeper feelings, sorry about the scratchy noise, of sadness or disappointment underneath, which maybe we don't know how to feel. So all of this comes down to not really knowing how to feel and process our emotions. This is because we didn't have the experience of resonance provided by either our parents, our teachers, our culture, that allowed us to feel, have emotional expression, and be held, contained, met, and understood in that. So that our systems receive the message that no matter what's happening, no matter what you want, no matter what you're feeling, who you are, what you feel, and what you want is okay. If we didn't get that experience when we were young, we don't have a map for it in our brains and we don't have a map for it in our nervous system. So we have all these other maps of, oh, who I am is not okay. And in order to be okay, I need to get perfection on everything. And then, oh my God, that's exhausting. That's too hard. I'll just avoid it altogether. So learning how to get to the feelings in the first place is also a part of learning about emotional regulation and learning how to overcome fear of failure and to process failure, quote unquote failure. Reminding you, failure just being a moment when reality didn't meet our expectations, didn't match perfectly. And so in order to get to the place of this maybe being okay as an experience coming through the other side, there's 3 things that we want to do. We want to connect to the feelings in the moment, and often this is through the body. So some examples that I've been working through with clients, I have a lot of entrepreneurial. So for my entrepreneurial friends, maybe it's a sales call that went wrong. Maybe you were trying to express something heartfelt to a friend and it didn't quite go according to plan. Maybe you didn't speak up during a meeting. Maybe you created a beautiful daily routine and you didn't quite follow through. You didn't stick to some kind of commitment that you'd made. And so thinking about that, there can be, we'll keep going through the experience of the sales call. So you've had that conversation, something's gone wrong, felt a bit weird, you've got off the call, you've got this, and then it's going to be up to you. What kind of feelings do you have? A shivery feeling in the skin, trembly feeling in the legs, maybe the throat's closed. Okay, we just notice and connect. This observation of the body in the moment helps us to go deeper into staying with ourselves, which is the key here. If we fall into the pattern, we fall into just reacting to the feelings, we want to go to avoidance. Avoidance is going to be a really common place that we'll go to, and we'll never really experience having the fulfilled, enriched, meaningful lives that we're wanting to have, because we'll be in avoidance of them. So we connect. The second step is to recognize. So feelings in the body and emotions are connected but aren't exactly the same thing. So they occur together, but it's really helpful and regulating for our systems and our brains to untangle this and to notice that there's a sensation in the body and to notice that there is an emotion that goes with it. So then we might start to name the emotions. I'm feeling sad about that sales call, or I'm feeling shame about that sales call, or I'm feeling insecure. And we just look at what is the feeling and try to name that. And then go deeper. Okay, why do I feel like that? What value or need underneath is not being fulfilled or met? Why do I care about this thing? What matters to me here? And maybe, again, perhaps it's a sense of achievement in that moment that wasn't met. Perhaps it's a sense of, wow, I really feel connected to purpose when I sell my services and I'm working in my services, and this moment feels like my need for connection to purpose is not being met. And then we can empathize with ourselves, connecting with the body, understanding the emotion, and understanding what it is, why we care so much about this experience. Once we tap into why we care, a lot shifts. Both giving this to ourselves, understanding why we care about something, and understanding why someone else cares about something, helps to really empathize and understand surface level reactions, behaviors, and emotions that are what we see more easily than the deep underlying needs and values. Once you have been able to do this, you can then identify, I had a need for achievement that wasn't met, or I had a need for purpose that doesn't feel like it was met. Notice already the shift when you offer yourself empathy. That's the processing. And then we get to take that information. Well, I have a need at the moment, an unfulfilled need to connect to purpose. What small action can I take that can set me back on course for feeling connected to my purpose? And this is resilience. This is regulation. This is processing failure. This is continuing to stay steady and be able to take proactive but not pushy action towards the life that you want, towards your dreams, goals, and desires. I truly hope this is helpful for you, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts, comments, how you process failure. If you have other methods, I'd love to also hear about them. Thank you so much for your presence and participation in the conversation. Bye-bye.